77 years ago, almost 19-year-old Sammy Julian Norris left South Carolina, joined the Army to help fight during World War II. 77 years later, his son is there, and war still rages in Europe today. 1,423 miles from where I'm standing now. As you see that freighter get closer and closer, that's exactly what my father saw. There's the beaches, the harbor area, the entrance into the main port. As you see the ship moving in and taking its place into the harbor, you hear a lot of noise, children laughing, people sailing, just going about their everyday business. But 77 years ago, it was totally different. A lot of chaos, a lot of nervousness, as these young soldiers were coming into Europe through France in their first combat operations. I'm going to follow them from here all the way into Belgium, into Germany, through the Ruhr, down past Dusseldorf, excuse me, to Bonn, to Cologne, just above Frankfurt, Germany, just below Munich. And we will visit Hof, which is where the 97th Infantry Division was turned over to the 3rd Army, which was commanded by General Patton at that time. And then they ended up in the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia at that time. Le Havre is located about 28 miles north of Normandy. And when they came ashore here, they went into Camp Lucky Strike. Camp Lucky Strike was one of the 5 cigarette camps, as they called it. They used it for bringing in soldiers, and then at the end, getting them ready to depart to go back to the United States. Some of the units went back to the United States, but the 97th Infantry Division ended up being sent to Japan, which they were originally scheduled to do, and they were prepared and trained up to go into the main islands of Japan, the main invasion that needed to happen in order to end the World War II. Well, it's March 3rd, and I'm still in the Havre. I'm going and looking at the beach today, and it's covered with rocks. Like, I don't know if it's natural, if they brought it in or whatever, but it's really weird. That statue there, from above, it spells out LH for the port city's name. So as you come around, you can see other stuff. I don't know if this was here when Dad came ashore in World War II, but it's no sand whatsoever. It's just all rocks. So today I'm going to be taking a tour of the city using their tram system and trying to find a museum that may have some information. So talk to you later. During World War II, everything you see here was built after World War II. The Nazis destroyed everything that you see here. All the downtown area, the ports, through the harbor was damaged. Everything was gone. When my father, or our father, came ashore here, the second 1st and 2nd March 1945. The 97th Infantry Division. After assembly and training at Camp Cook in California, which is now Vandenberg Space Force Base, the 97th Infantry Division was then transported to Camp Kilmer in New Jersey, which is in central New Jersey, and was activated in 1942 as an installation of the New York Port of Embarkation, largest processing center for troops heading overseas and returning from the European theater. The division embarked on the troop ships in New York and landed in Harve France on 2 March 1945. I'm here today on the 3rd of March making this recording as you look out over the harbor in the port city in France. They then moved to Camp Lucky Strike, which had a capacity of 60,000 soldiers. It was located in Saint-Savin, which is north of where I'm at now, between here and Calais. It was a cigarette camp and was one of a number of temporary U.S. Army tent cities around the French port of Le Havre, and the other camps in the area were Old Gold and Pall Mall. These camps were named after the popular cigarettes, and just so happens that Camp Lucky Strike was the most popular among U.S. soldiers during World War II. And that's where Sammy Julian Norris arrived, barely 19 years old, on his way to the European theater. And now today I'm sitting here in the same harbor area as my father did 77 years ago, and war is now happening in Europe again. We'll have more later on as we visit Camp Lucky. This is Kenneth Norris, retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army. My father was Sammy Julian Norris. Thank you. One, two, three. I don't have any items of my father's to carry here today from his World War II. But on this journey to follow my father's footsteps during World War II in Europe, I would like to share my 2010-2011 tour in Afghanistan, some of the items that I brought with me. You'll see several of these items: a blue puppy, a baby panda, a Winnie the Pooh piglet pen. Kelsey hid these items in my bag when I left for Afghanistan. You'll also see on the table is my field hat and my dog tags. The letter that Kelsey wrote when she hid all these items in my bags was attached to the panda with those exact strings that you see before you. The blue dog that you see was a gift from an Afghani while I was serving in Afghanistan. The items that Kelsey sent to me was, in her letter, was to help keep me from being lonely. So as I sit here today and reflect what my father, who was just over 19 or right at 19 years old, I'm sitting here today, it calls me to pause and think about what Kelsey and my wife Judy Norris went through when I was gone. Anyway, that's all for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you. One, two, three. In this video, you'll see the 97th Infantry Division, the campaigns and major battles on the left side with the dates and the location. The map at the bottom shows their journey across Europe. The order of battle is on the right side, and it indicates the units that were in the 97th Infantry Division. In the upper left corner, you'll see a blue field with white trim and a Triton. This is the unit's patch. Also, you will see what I carried with me in Afghanistan was a flag that flown over the Pentagon, and this flag was also raised over Fort McHenry in Baltimore by my daughter, Kelsey Samantha Norris. That concludes this video, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Thank you.
Thousand workers, dockers were living there and working here afterwards. And it was all the elements were built in England and Scotland and Wales, and it was important not to have everything done in one place so that Germans would never figure out. The Germans flew over many times, never understood what it was for. They never did. And the workers making the Mulberry in England, Wales and Scotland were never told what it is. They were told to make a wall, to make some metal, to do some welding, and that's it. And they were...
So we're at Gold Beach right now, and this is where the Canadians came in, and what you see in front of you is my tour guide Iga, and these are some bunkers, and what you see way in the background is part of the Mulberry Bridge parts. And out here is where the Mulberry Bridges were set up on Gold Beach after the invasion to keep supplies coming in. See how steep this beach is.
Antennas, and that was for communication, used for communication. And you have also on each pillarhead an anti-aircraft gun to protect the place in case of German planes flying over. So they were soldiers also defending the place all the time. And you can see the pipeline here, on my picture also. You can see one of the straight pipes coming from the see?
For petroleum products.
Yeah, crude oil, and then it was in Port-Messin. There was a refinery making all the mixes needed for the army. And the village. And eventually released in 1954 as a way to make peace with Germany. In the 50s, some of the least bad guys were released, and he died in 61 from a cancer. He was taking his orders from Wilhelm Richter, based in Caen. The headquarters of the German troops was in Caen, where is today the Memorial of Caen. And Richter was really overwhelmed on the day. He was not expecting to get so much fire. Kurt Meyer is also remembered.
See here where the bunkers are all lined up and facing towards the sea, and these are the ones that we can go into, so we'll get some more inside pictures of video of what it looked like 77 years ago.
So we are at Longnes-sur-Mer, between Gold and Omaha Beach, and at Longnes-sur-Mer it's an important coastal battery which had mostly Russians fighting for the Germans here. On June 8, 124 German soldiers were captured, but out of 124, 85 spoke only Russian. And they explained what happened here. This one, it was not destroyed on D-Day by US or British battleships, but it was destroyed by accident by the soldiers. On top of the bunker, they had a 35mm anti-aircraft gun, and something went wrong. It exploded from the back, destroying the cannon, destroying the Skoda 150mm completely. Yeah. So this cannon is the 150mm Skoda gun, which shoots 18 miles range, 2 shots a minute. You have a crew of 6 soldiers behind. It can also shoot 30 degrees high and 110 degrees on the side, covered with concrete. The bunker is not completely finished, because a bunker completely finished would have much more gas on top, and at that time also camouflage lights. The bunkers at Pont-sur-Mer and in many sites of Normandy were not totally finished. Even on Omaha Beach, the Atlantic Wall does not go all along. So this battery was really done between March 44 and the end of May 44. 43. Rommel forbid any contact between the German soldiers and the French people. So the Germans from November 43 had to go in the village, buy things and come back, and that's it. No more talk. And they had to cook, because before they even brought cooked meals and plenty of alcohol. The problem in the... Okay. Yeah, no, it's gone. Okay. Do it again. There were seats on the side. The seats are gone, but there was a seat here and another one there. So the soldier's job was to aim the cannon, latitude and longitude. Another one was behind here. He would receive the shells, close the hatch here. Then they had a rope here, a long rope. They pull the rope like this to avoid to get the shell and go this way or this way.
I can see how it's so noisy.
Very, very loud, so they had ear protection, but still they are inside the bunker. So 3 guys here, and so just 2 rooms. I don't know if you can put a light. Okay. But inside I can show you what it was looking like when the soldiers were sleeping. It was really basic and cold. There was a door, of course, a stove, but not much comfort. So you see, you had bunk beds like that, like hammocks, a table, stove, and ventilation system also. Let's see here. Yeah, see. So, so what you see in front is the road. It's paved now, and on this road, on D-Day during the war, there were poles and the phone line connecting the observation bunker, giving coordinates to these bunkers. So the officers were there checking the scene night and day, and if they saw any movement, they were supposed to inform this battery and other ones to shoot. On D-Day, what happened is that one shell of one of the battleships shooting at Pont-sur-Mer, probably HMS Belfast, this one, shot and cut by chance the phone line. As soon as the phone line was cut, the guys they stopped shooting. This is what they told when they were they stopped shooting between 6 and 6:30. I don't know exactly when.
So this is the HMS
That's
Belfast.
the Belfast. That's the
It's
Belfast.
in the Thames River now.
Yeah, it's in the Thames. You have the HMS Argonaut shooting also. One French ship. We still had a tiny navy, but we had some ships. Okay. There were many batteries in Normandy like this one. Not all of them were were active. Not all of them had cannons. Here you can see on this map some of the batteries and the range of some of the batteries, but there were much more. The ones in grey here are the ones we know 100% which were active, because US and British battleships felt it really. That's Le Havre, which had some cannons, 400mm. You see the range is much bigger. This is Crisbeck battery, the range of Crisbeck. Crisbeck had a range of 25mm. Crisbeck had 220mm. Here you had 420mm, really huge, to protect the port. So at Longnes-sur-Mer, we are really very close to Omaha Beach. Just after the lighthouse, the old lighthouse, starts Omaha Beach. This is still gold. Just there, it's Omaha. And this way, Gold Beach, still Gold